Happy Friday, everybody. It's Dr. Bridget Young from babyformulaexpert.com here on this super glamorous Friday night to talk about Earth's Best new formula that literally just came out on the market. It's brand new. It's in this like turquoise can. It's their quote-unquote gentle formula. So I'm going to go over all the ingredients. I'm actually sitting at my computer so I can be lazy and just have the ingredients right here in front of me. And I have a couple notes, and thanks for waiting it out. This isn't really happy hour. It's like bedtime. I am having a glass of wine. But as you may have noticed, the boys are a little louder and harder to handle lately, and I feel like I'm becoming less and less likely to be able to do happy hour while keeping them alive. So I might switch to some more evening times. I don't know. I'm going to play around with it. But they're in bed and have been asleep. Vaughn jumped out of his crib a few weeks ago. He just turned 2. I was so not prepared. So his graduation to a big boy bed happened much faster than I had anticipated, and he's getting out of bed all the time. So we're in that phase. Yesterday, I get up way before them to try to have some personal time. I was sitting on my computer, and I turned around, and he was like standing there like a little gremlin, naked. Gotten out of his bed, opened the door, taken the baby gate down, somehow taken off all of his clothes and his diaper, and he goes, "Hey, Mom." It's like, oh my God, children of the corn. So that's my life right now. Oh, and his little creepy voice. I'm sorry, I have my microphone down here and I didn't even put it on. I hope you can hear better now. Okay, if you're watching, you probably want to hear about the Earth's Best new formula. And again, I have 2 cameras going at once, so sorry if I look a little bit like I'm not paying attention to you. So yes, Earth's Best, and I'm going to look this way to see the ingredients. Earth's Best just came out with their organic gentle formula. Now, I have a whole happy hour about what does gentle and sensitive mean. It means nothing. They're not regulated terms, but in general, so far, usually the word gentle is being used to market some type of partially hydrolyzed formula. This is like Enfamil Gentilies, Gerber Good Start Gentle, and now Earth's Best Gentle is trying to hop on that bandwagon. So let's just jump right in. So this is a really unique formula blend. The only place I have seen this type of formula before is in a generic brand. So it's very interesting. So let's start. We'll do protein, fat, and carbohydrate. I'll start with fat because it's super easy. The fat blend in this formula is exactly the same as the fat blend in all of Earth's Best formulas, and it's pretty standard in the US. It is, let me see, palm oil, soy oil, coconut oil, and high oleic safflower or sunflower oil. So I'm not going to say much. That's the norm. That's usually what you see in most formulas. So let's do protein because that's, in my mind, usually the most important thing. This formula is both a mixture of non-fat milk and whey, which is relatively standard, but it's a mixture of intact and partially hydrolyzed proteins. I have super mixed opinions about this, so I will explain. So most formulas that are partially hydrolyzed that carry this gentle kind of marketing connotation are 100% fully hydrolyzed. So as a reminder, the process of hydrolysis takes a big protein, you can think of it as like breaking it in half. So it's breaking up the protein size into a smaller size. And human breast milk proteins are smaller in size than cow's breast milk proteins. So some babies, especially really young newborn babies, do a little bit better with a partially hydrolyzed formula because they, they have to digest less to get down to an absorbable form. I talk about partially hydrolyzed formulas all over my website. So if you need more information there, you can go and get it. Earth's Best is really unique because they're using a mixture of both. It's unique in research because I feel like I'm pretty dang on top of the formula research, and I have never seen a single study that uses a blend of intact and partially hydrolyzed formulas like this. The reason is all of the research regarding partially hydrolyzed or fully hydrolyzed formulas usually relate around some type of immune reaction or immune development, because the theory is that a smaller protein might be less likely to elicit an allergic response. So there's a lot of research about 100% partially hydrolyzed whey formulas helping prevent eczema and some type of allergy. Fully hydrolyzed formulas might help at-risk kiddos from developing autoimmune indications. So if you're thinking about it from that biological context, kind of like, what's the point of only making half of the proteins partially hydrolyzed if you're still going to be providing a potential immune trigger with some intact proteins? So the pessimistic side of me lands there, like, oh my God, guys, why didn't you just go all the way and partially hydrolyze all the proteins, because now you're still providing for a child who may be at risk for an allergic sensitivity or response. You know, they're still getting the stimulus. The other half of me, you know, is, well, for some kiddos who don't have a true allergy, reducing the load of intact proteins may potentially help. So, you know, they're not going to have to digest as many super large proteins because we've broken up some of the proteins on their behalf. So that's kind of where I land on both camps. What I really don't like, the part that I don't like, which this is not Earth's best fault, but about this mixture is, like I said, I've only ever seen this in generic formulas before, and occasionally what I've seen in generic formulas is they are marketing as the generic for a specific brand, and they do this, and I do not like that. For example, I have seen generic versions of both Enfamil, Gentilese, and generic versions of Gerber Gentle. So they're, you know, they're not those brands, but they market as being a replacement for those brands. And they do this where they only partially hydrolyze some of the proteins. The reason I really don't like that is because if your baby is on Gentilese or Gerber Gentle or any fully partially hydrolyzed formula, a switch to a formula that contains some intact proteins, to be honest, is pretty dang likely to cause a response, a negative response. And, you know, that's not parents' fault. We assume that generics are usually pretty much the same thing, and that's definitely not the case in formula. Some are really identical, some are not. So Earth's Best is not doing that because they're not marketing themselves as a replacement for anything, but they definitely are falling into this really kind of weird, unique camp of, I would love to talk to their nutritionist or food science and be like, talk to me about why you made this choice. Again, the pessimistic side of me thinks it's probably because it's way cheaper to keep some of the proteins intact, because that's how they come out of the cow. So they don't need any processing, and any processing adds cost. So that's the biggest difference by far, is you still have a non-fat milk base, which is going to be mostly casein and a little bit of whey. And so they're adding back whey to tweak the ratio to be more whey like breast milk, but the extra whey that they're adding back is partially hydrolyzed. So, I don't even know. To be honest, it's wonderful that it's organic. And it's wonderful that this is, like, I think, a step in the right direction to having a partially hydrolyzed organic formula. But clinically, for a baby who truly is going to need a partially hydrolyzed protein source, this formula is probably not going to be a good formula choice for them, because it is going to have not only a significant portion of the proteins as intact, but the casein proteins are all intact. And casein proteins are considered to be a little more reactive or more likely to be the culprit of any potential allergy. So that's very general. But so that's what I don't like seeing. I would rather have seen them do a mixture, a partially hydrolyzed non-fat milk and intact whey if they had to pick one, but they did it the other way around. Okay, so that's the protein. I feel like I've rambled enough there. The carbohydrate is a little different as well. So this is a lactose-reduced formula. It does have lactose in it. Organic lactose is the first ingredient, but it also has maltodextrin. So organic maltodextrin, which is great because it will also be non-GMO, but it does have maltodextrin replacing some of the carbohydrate, which honestly, I wish it was 100% lactose, just because we do not have a 100% lactose partially hydrolyzed formula in the US, so it would have been nice to have an option. But this practice is universal in the US when it comes to formulas that have partially hydrolyzed proteins. So it's lactose reduced. I don't know the exact percentages, they don't list, but given that maltodextrin comes after the non-fat milk and lactose, I'm assuming it's similar to the Gerber Good Start, which, and I know Gerber's is Gerber Gentle is 70% lactose, 30% maltodextrin. So that's what I'm guessing. It's mostly lactose and likely just some maltodextrin. What I don't like, which I think is a little sneaky, is they have this big label on their can that says no corn syrup solids. And that is absolutely correct. They are allowed to say that. There are no corn syrup solids in this formula, but usually to parents that implies that there's no corn-based sugars or non-lactose sugars, and that's not the case with this formula. So I used to be super hardcore about there's no place for maltodextrin or corn sugar in formulas, and I've really backed off that. It really does make a difference for a lot of babies. So it's not like I care that much that they've added maltodextrin for babies who need a lactose-reduced formula. What I don't like is that they have this banner which would lead some parents to believe that there is also no alternative sugars, including maltodextrin. Maltodextrin and corn sugar or corn syrup are different things. They're kind of both on a spectrum of glucose-based sugars. I have a whole article on my website about the differences between them and why one may or may not be better than the other. So if you're interested, you can read up all about that. But both of them are a glucose-based replacement for lactose. So they are really similar in that perspective. Okay. So to summarize, this is similar to the Earth's Best standard formula base. The difference is the protein. The whey that they add back to the non-fat milk to tweak the whey to casein ratio. The whey in the Gentle formula is a partially hydrolyzed whey. That's the big difference. The second difference is this is a lactose-reduced formula that still is probably going to have most of the carbohydrate from lactose and then just some of the carbohydrate coming from maltodextrin. And yeah, and that's it. The fat is the same. It's still got all of the extras that Earth's Best puts in all their formulas, so that's the same. It still has DHA and ARA, fructooligosaccharides, which is a prebiotic, lutein, nucleotides, L-carnitine, taurine. It's got everything. So that's pretty much standard in their formula. So I hope. Sorry. I hope that's helpful. So honestly, I usually try to give a takeaway of like, who would this be good for? I don't know. I guess it would be good if you're feeding your baby a protein that's 100% intact and 100% lactose, and your baby is experiencing some symptoms, but none of them are really severe. It might be worth trying this formula if you're really committed to organic, because they're trying to hit two birds with one stone. It's slightly lactose reduced, so if lactose is the problem, you're removing a little bit of the lactose, and it's removing some of the intact protein and just replacing some of that intact protein with a partially hydrolyzed protein. So you do get some of those. Those are two things that can sometimes cause babies problems. So you're solving sort of both of those still within the realm of organic. And again, in the US, we've got no partially hydrolyzed formulas that are organic. So if your baby's just having a little bit of issue, you may try it. But again, if your baby's having some significant issues, or you know that your baby needs a partially hydrolyzed formula, this is not the formula for you, because again, a significant component of the protein is coming from an intact, undigested source. So I really hope that's helpful. I feel like you need to know so much about formula to make any sense of these particular ingredients and how and whether or not they would be helpful for your baby. So if anyone from Earth's Best is watching, please reach out to me. I'd love to chat, and I'd love you guys to put out a 100% partially hydrolyzed formula, because it's wonderful to have that in an organic option, and I'm just dying for someone to do it. If you guys have any questions that I haven't answered, let me know. Hold on. Okay, this one's always okay. A couple comments came through that I didn't see because they scrolled up, so I will answer them in text afterwards. Thank you for waiting until the evening. Maybe your children are in bed as well. I am like a Cinderella that turns into a pumpkin at roughly 7 p.m. So it's long past my bedtime, and I'm going to sign off until next week, and I'll see you guys then. Have a wonderful week. I'm going to have to try to hang up on both. Bye, everybody. Talk to you later. Nope. don't know how to get off of this. Here, I'll end one. Bye, Facebook.